friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Madison and I'm the creator of This Faithful Home. Today's video, I'm going to be taking you through a step-by-step process of how to make one of these adorable baby shirts that has a snap at the top so it gets easier fit around your little one's head. I do want to preface that no, I do not have any children and I am not pregnant, but one day I would love to have a family with my husband, and I just love sewing baby clothes. Our cousins are pregnant and then a few of our friends are pregnant as well, and so I thought it'd be really fun to start sewing again and making baby clothes and getting motivated to make them stuff, as well as making a few things here and there for us for the future. Let's start off with the supplies. The first thing you are going to need is a sewing machine, some fabric, scissors, a pin cushion, an iron and ironing board, and then I'm going to be using a snap maker. This is, I forget the brand, Dritz, and these are like baby boutique snaps. They're the white snaps that you see on all of my projects. And you can use Velcro instead if you don't want to use snaps, but I will be taking you through that. And then some sort of pen to trace your pattern, and then obviously you will need a pattern. My pattern is from Etsy. It's the shop Paparita, and I will link the pattern in the description box down below. I'm going to be using her romper in the newborn size, but I'm actually going to be making it cut off into just a shirt, and I'll show you that step here in a sec. So in choosing your fabric, you want to get two things. First, you want some fun fabric. So go to Hobby Lobby, let your husband know that you're going to be there a while and you're going to buy probably way too many fabrics for this one project, but that's okay because I love all of these fabrics that I have. Everything here is either from Hobby Lobby or it's actually from my grandma, which is really cool. I have been able to use a lot of materials that she has passed down to me to sew and make cute little baby clothes. That way one day my future kids can wear clothes that are from a fabric that she has given me, which I think is very sweet and sentimental. And then the other fabrics that I've gotten from Hobby Lobby, I have like this cute elephant print. This one has raccoons on it. These have camels. I think today I'm going to go with the light blue and raccoon, tent, and cactus print fabric. So I will set that one on the ironing board. And then the other fabric you will need is for the lining. And I picked up just a basic cream colored fabric. It's already cut here because I cut it for other projects, so you can ignore that part. But you're gonna wanna pick up a fabric for the lining. And I chose to buy a big thing of cream in bulk just from the cotton section. So I bought like 4 yards of it, and every one of these that I've already done, you can see are lined with that same cream fabric. So let's hop on over to our ironing board, and we are going to lay out the fabric and just give it a nice iron and a crease. That way we can continue on with the process. So for this, you want to make sure that your iron is nice and hot, and you want to take your fabric and go ahead and just iron it nice and flat. For this newborn pattern that I am working with, I am using a ½ yard of the base fabric, and then you will need ½ yard of the coordinating lining fabric. Okay, now that we have our material ironed, let's go take it back over to the table so we can begin tracing and cutting out our pattern. All right, so I have already gone ahead and cut out my pattern in the newborn size, and I'm going to be going 3 inches from the lower crotch seam up and folding it down, and then go ahead and cut that line. And this is going to change the romper pattern into a t-shirt. And do the same thing with the front piece. And you can vary the different lengths you want on this t-shirt from the romper pattern based off of how long you want the shirt. So if you want it to be a shorter shirt, or if you want it to be more of a dress length, you can adjust that as well. So now we have our two pieces. Go ahead and set one of them aside. You're gonna take your fabric and fold it right sides together. Make sure that the pattern is facing the right direction that you want it to be. And go ahead and start tracing and cutting each of your front and back pieces on your main piece as well as your lining. And like I told you guys, you are gonna have a good little bit of fabric left over from the half a yard, but you wanna make sure that you have enough length for the pattern to fit properly. And so now you can save this for any other little pillows, or if you haven't seen my DIY rice heating pad video, I will link it down below as well. This is the perfect amount of scrap fabric to make one of those DIY rice pads, and I think you should go check out that video after this one. So now you can see we have our front and back piece cut out for our lining, and then we also have our front and back piece cut out for our main fabric. So I will take you along to the next step, which is going to be pinning and sewing. So go ahead and grab your pin cushion. For this next step, go ahead and take both of your front pieces, place them right sides together, which means good side of the fabric to good side of the fabric. And we are going to pin this down so that we can sew it here in a sec. It doesn't matter where you put the pins, you just want to make sure that you have enough to where your corners and your edges don't move, and then the straps don't move as well. And do the same thing for your back. And then we are going to take it to the sewing machine. I will show you first where you need to stitch. On the front piece, you are going to stitch from the sleeve opening across the top, around the neck, across the top, down the sleeve opening. You want to create this whole case right here. And then after you do that, go ahead and sew along the entire bottom, and you want to leave these two side openings open. This is really important for how we are going to attach it to the back. So let's go ahead and do that first. On here, I should note that I follow a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and at this point you should probably pick the coordinating thread that you want to use, but it is not as important as it will be in some of the later steps. Go ahead and cut your excess thread, and we will do something similar to the back panel, but with one key thing that is important to remember. When you are getting ready to do the back panel, you are going to do the same stitch along the sleeve opening, the neck opening, and then the other sleeve opening on the top. But the very important step that you need to remember on the bottom is when you sew, you want to leave about a 3 to 4 inch opening in the middle of the back panel. So when I sew this, you will see me start at this corner. This is actually perfect how this TP has laid out on the back panel. It'll be a good visual representation to show that you want to go from one edge to the other, all the way to the edges, but leave this gap open. This will be crucial for when it comes time to connect this to the front piece. So go ahead and do that. Now we have both pieces sewn. Let's go back over to the ironing board for the next couple steps. Go ahead and take all of your pins out of your fabric and put them back in your pin cushion. And if you haven't noticed already, I like to color coordinate my pin cushions because I'm extra like that. Also, I recently posted a laundry video and I talked in there about how I organize things color-bedically, and I feel like this is another example of that. That was a complete side note. So anyways, on your fabric, there is one thing that'll help you a lot, and I figured I would show you while we're on the ironing board before we do the next step. Anywhere where there is a curved edge, so at the armpit and at the neck, take your scissors and cut a slit into the fabric, and that will help when you turn it. If you can see here how when you open it up, it helps the fabric to move. Go ahead and do that on every curve. That will help you when we flip these right side out. And just make sure that you don't cut all the way into your stitched line. And then go ahead and take the top strap pieces and cut them at an angle just on the outside of your stitch line. That will also help the fabric lay nicely when you turn it right side out. Now that we have done that, we are ready to flip the front piece right side out. And then once you have the front panel right side out, go ahead and iron this flat, making sure, as you can see here, look how nicely it helped to have the cut lines. It helped to create that curve, and now we are just going to iron it down flat to accentuate those curves. All right, here comes the fun part where really all the magic happens to hide all of your raw edges. Take your back panel, you have created a tube here. What I want you to do is roll up your straps just a little bit so that you can feed this entire thing inside the tube here. And make sure while you're doing this that the correct fabric is lining up. So I have our top fabric facing up on both pieces and our lining is on the back. I'm going to feed this front panel tube into the back. And it's a little bit tricky at first, but once you've done it several times, it'll come naturally. You just want to shake it and lay it flat, like so. And then, as you can see here, we have our back piece and our front piece of the good fabric, and then our back piece and the front piece of the lining. And what I want you to do, this is a little bit tricky to see, but you can already tell that it's creating a tube. Go ahead and pin this down so that your fabrics don't move when you take it over to the sewing machine, making sure that you first line up the edges where the lining meets the good fabric. And I usually just put like 2 or 3 pins if I do decide to pin it down. Sometimes I don't, just because I'm so used to it. So now what you have created is basically one big giant tube that runs across. You can see here. We are going to take it back to the sewing machine and stitch along this entire loop. The best way for you to sew this tube piece is to take your sewing machine and remove this piece so that you create an arm. This is like the arm attachment, so where you can fit the loop inside of it. And what we are going to do is take your tube like so. Here's a visual representation of what it looks like, and slide it under the arm of the sewing machine and then sew completely around it with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And repeat for the other side. Here's why it is very important for you to have left that opening in the bottom of your fabric. So as of right now, we have both tubes sewn, so the front and the back piece are connected. And you may think this looks a little bit strange, but watch this magic when you come from the opening that you created at the bottom. Go ahead and turn everything right side out, and you will start to see your finished product taking life. And you can start to see it taking shape already. Look how cute this is looking. Let's take it back to the ironing board and we will iron out all these creases, and then I will explain what your last few steps are going to be. I'm actually going to be using the smaller edge of my ironing board because that will help with this process. Placing this material in there, much like we did with the sewing machine, and we are going to iron this back panel flat. Noticing here, this is where your opening is to the fabric from where we turned it right side out. You want to make sure that the material is also rolled over, which it will naturally do when you turn your fabric from your seam allowance, but we want to make sure we iron this flat so that way when we do the top stitch, it will catch and close off the fabric. The last few steps are going to be top stitching around the top and bottom, and then adding the snaps. So let's go back to the sewing machine one more time. Make sure when you're doing this step that again, you have the arm feature out on your sewing machine, and that you be careful not to let the front and the back pattern touch while you are sewing the top stitch. When I sew the top stitch, I usually sew right on the edge with like maybe 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but I just try to line it up right along the edge to make it really pretty when it's all finished. Also, when you're doing this step of the project, make sure that you have the thread choice that you want that coordinates with your materials. So I have a light blue thread on top and a cream colored thread for the bobbin. Okay, so this is what we are looking like now that it is all top stitched. I will show you a closer look at each of the straps so you can get an idea to what the top stitch looks like. Our last step is going to be adding snaps to the top of the shirt strap, so let's go ahead and do that now. So here is my box of snaps that I have here. It comes with the backer piece. This is the piece that you will see. You will need 4 of those per side. And then you will need 4 of the raised edge side and 4 of the incaved edge side. These will be the snaps that adhere together. I'm going to go ahead and wrap my fabric together where I know that I want to place it, and take a needle of any kind. I just wrap this one in duct tape so that I have like a bigger edge to hold, and I'm going to poke a hole through both sides. That way I have like a marking or where I'm going to put the snap. Alright guys, there you have it. Super cute and easy baby shirt, and I love the little snap feature that it has. This would be great to wear over a onesie. If it's a little bit colder out, they could wear it over a long sleeve onesie, or if it's warmer, you could just throw this on your baby, put a pair of bloomers on, and they are good to go. I hope you guys enjoyed this step-by-step tutorial. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And comment down below what project you want to see me sew next. I love doing these kind of tutorials, and I think it would be great to start incorporating more of them on my channel. So let me know what you want to see next. If you are new to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you feel welcomed into this faithful home with me. If you didn't know already, I make lifestyle, home, and crafting videos every Wednesday and Saturday at 3 p.m. So make sure you check back for more, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!